three wishes. My first wish would be that President Clinton would be impeached. My second wish would be that Al Gore would become president. And my third wish would be that Al Gore would be impeached.
It would be the Cubs winning the World Series.
I would love to meet Madonna.
To get Jimi Hendrix's guitar.
To be a Chippendale.
My most memorable weekends was turnabout. I think it was junior year, maybe? And I went with, that's right. I went with, she's a junior, she's a very, very nice girl.
Memorable weekend would not be allowed to talk about on the air, but to tell you the truth, I was really in ecstasy.
Memorable weekend was definitely prom, when a transvestite came up and asked my date where she got her dress.
If I was going to describe the class of 1994 in 3 words, the words I would use would be, first of all, exhausted. The second one would be complex. And the third one would be amazing.
Caring, bright, understanding.
Creative, talented, and adventuresome.
They're out of here.
The most embarrassing moment in high school would be sophomore year. I was sitting in essay hall with all my friends, and it was real crowded. And I was just getting done making fun of Brian Peters for being uncoordinated, which he still is now. And I was standing on essay hall blocks, like imitating him. And when I stepped off, my ankle gave from under me, and I fell flat on my back. And that was just like the most uncoordinated thing ever, and it was just kind of in your face. It was really funny.
For volleyball, we wore our hooded sweatshirts on the day of the game, and it was a warm day, so I had my sweatshirt tied around my waist, and I had a t-shirt on. And I went into the bathroom, and I completely forgot that I had my hooded sweatshirt around my waist. And I sat down to go to the bathroom, and my hood went into the toilet completely. So I didn't take my hooded sweatshirt off. I dried it off in the dryer. But the funny thing is, the guys wore the same sweatshirts for their season, and poor Lenny Moon had number 7, and he had
Freshman, I was taking a leak in the bathroom, one of the urinals, and I was kind of a dork, so I was doing what we called like long shots. Took a couple steps back and tried to aim, and I didn't hear Dr. Duffy come in, and kind of caught me in the act, but it's kind of embarrassing.
The most embarrassing moment in high school was freshman year. And freshman year, I had like this pristine image, and we had study group one night for biology. There were about 15 to 20 of us in a basement, and someone cracked a joke, and it was so funny, and I was laughing so hard, and I rolled over, and I like farted so hard. The earth like unzipped and like was some people still remember it to this day, and it was very embarrassing.
Sophomore year, when I had a little accident in front of the school. It was, kind of crashed into something stationary out there. Something I'd like to forget.
Craziest thing I've ever seen a GBN student do was watching Sean Holler smash into the sign of school sophomore year. That was very crazy.
The craziest thing I've ever seen a GBN student do would be to see Joe Goldman cut his hair at his speech for elections. That was kind of crazy.
At the complex, a hockey player ran outside of the locker room naked and took a drink of water and then went back to the locker room.
something that sounds perfect.
Being funny.
I think my mom was a person who most influenced me throughout my high school years because she went through a really hard time. She was really sick, and I think it did a lot for me to be a stronger person and get through a lot of twisted things that go on in high school. Definitely made me stronger.
My mom, because she was always there for me and helped me whenever I had a problem.
I think the most influencing person during my high school years would have to be my dad. He really pushed me to do well without really saying much, and he was always there for me when I needed him.
The greatest influence for me would be Mrs. Cohen with the newspaper and all the things that I've learned because of the newspaper and because of her. I know that it's going to be with me for the rest of my life, with career and everything. And she's just been more help and more of a teacher, friend, companion, mentor than you can imagine.
Who most influenced me? I'd have to say Nate Unerman, because I learned more about sex education in his class than I did in health education. So, and that's it.
If the class of 1994 were an animal, it would be a giraffe. I suppose you want to know why. You have stood tall, class of 94. You have stuck your neck out. You are gentle. You are an amazing class.
If I was to describe the class of 1994 as an animal, I see them as a dolphin. And I see them as a dolphin because when you think of animals, the dolphin is always considered to be one of the most intelligent. And I think the class of 1994 is one of the most intelligent that has come through here. When I think of a dolphin, I also think of a very gentle animal. And I think that that's another way I would describe this class.
I would think the class 94 to me would be a deer, and the reason I say a deer is a deer seems so gentle and friendly, and when you see them run out in the wilderness, they just seem so happy. And the class of 94 will go down in my book anyway as one of the great classes that GBN's had.
I would change places with Mr. Lyer, and without a doubt, because he's just the man. He's got it all together. He's on top of everything. He's just the man.
I think I'd probably want to change places with Blaine Royer, just because I don't really know what he does all day. And whatever he does all day, I'd like to do it, because I always just see him in his office, and I'm always hanging out with him in there just drinking coffee, and eating bagels, so I think I'd like to trade places with him for a day.
Okay, if I could change places with anyone else in the school, it would have to be Barry Fowlerman, because he always looks like he's having a good time.
So I could hear everything that goes on in the boys' locker room.
My fondest memory of the class of 1994 would probably be the relationship I developed, the academic and personal relationship I developed with Chris Stake. I think that high school and growing up is about change and growth, personal growth, individual growth, and Chris Stake experienced all those things crammed into 1 year with my class, and watching him turn into a young man that understood responsibility and came to realize his own true potential was one of the most exciting things that I've had happen to me as a teacher, because he exemplified the reason why I think teachers teach, and that's...
My finest memory of the class of 1994 is the fact that there seems to be a warm, caring attitude among most members of the class. Senior classes come and go, and sometimes there's a kind of a magic that happens near the end of the year with each class, but it seems like with the class of '94 it's happened earlier.
Class of 1994 will leave an incredible mark on this school. Academically, I think their honors and their accomplishments will stand for a long time. I think, though, that the mark that they will leave is they leave a mark of a group of people who sought to accomplish and be the best, but at the same time there was a respect for mankind. And
people have talked about academically how bright this class was, but I think the key thing to that was just the overall caring of the class, or how they got along with everybody, and like I said, they're really going to be missed. Or if the classes in the future can use this senior class as role models, why our school will be a great school for a long time.
Publicly, this class will leave the fact that two very warm and caring members of their class left before they did, which is extremely sad. But the thing that this class will leave is, at least personally and in my mind, was the fact that there are some wonderful individuals in the class who helped pull this class together.
See Chris Hoke in 10 years as an eyebrow model for some magazine. But even though that didn't get a Dukakis a presidency, I think it'll get Chris an eyebrow modeling job. I see Josh, Carl, picking up our kids from basketball practice.
In 10 years, I definitely see Josh Carl married to Lisa Strolitz, and I see him with a bunch of little kiddies, completely having forgotten about all forms of athletics, sports, basketball, anything that he was ever interested in that deals with sports, and he'll just totally be interested in whatever Lisa's interested in.
I see Jennifer Bergenham as the host of the Channel 5 News, along with her co-anchor, Joan Esposito.
I see Peter Yang as the host on Soul Train.
Well, I suppose the easiest one to pick on is Brooke Monroe. Brooke will be a very successful businesswoman of some sort, and at the same time she'll have a really wonderful family, and she'll probably be living maybe up in Nome, Alaska, because I think that's where she'll probably be able to exert a great deal of influence. It gets cold up there, but Brooke's warmth will melt that place pretty fast. So she'll probably have, who knows, 8 or 9 kids, be a successful businesswoman up in Nome. Maybe she'll be selling ice to the Eskimos, because she has the personality to do that.
Brian Peters is an aerobics instructor. Definitely an aerobics instructor, because he's got the perfect build for it. He's got the nice hips. He'd look good in those leotards, and he's just so energetic and bouncy. It'd just be great. He'd be perfect for it.
One thing I'd like to say to my fellow classmates before I leave is to always go hard in whatever you do and have a great time doing it, because you never get a chance to relive the moment.
One last thing I'd like to say to my fellow classmates is, if you're going to buy a cappuccino maker, you have to get an open water tank. Therefore, you can have unlimited amounts of cappuccino and espresso.
Just say, have a great summer, And I know that about 98.6% of you are going on to college. So get whatever you need to get out of your system this summer, because next fall, if you thought studying was hard sometimes around here, you ain't seen nothing yet.
One last thing that I'd like to say to my class would be just thanks for all the memories, and 4 years of GBN were really fun, and I love you all. Deuce.
If I was going to give some advice to the departing seniors in the class of 1994, it would be to make sure that they don't get caught up in all the competition. That my hope for them, and I guess my advice would be to continue to enjoy life and to have fun, to find fun out there and play. Can't work all the time. There's got to be some fun and play.
One last thing I would say to my classmates before they leave is play hard.
Well, I'd just like to wish each and every person in the class of 94 the very best, and whatever they're doing after they graduate from Glenbrook North, and I hope that most of them look back fondly with their years in high school as ones of growth, both academically and personally, and hope to see as many of them back as possible to come and visit.